to our Live from the Loft Sunday morning worship. Glad you're here today. We really appreciate this service. Just a couple of things I want to mention before we begin. This is particularly to Salem members. Do not forget to send in your videos to Jacqueline. We're all kind of emailing videos of ourselves, and she and Deb are going to compile them and send them back just so that we can see one another. So please take the time to do that. And a second thing I'd like to remind you to do, or tell you to do, is next Sunday we will have communion again. So next Sunday you'll need to get your wine/grape juice, bread/cracker ready, and we will bless it and we will share that together. Hey, the sun's out today after a day of raining the entire day, which makes me feel God's presence in an even more powerful way. So enjoy this first song. Thank you. That was beautiful. We'll continue with our reading for this morning. The reading this morning is taken from the Gospel of Luke. It's the 24th chapter. Starts at verse 13 and ends at 33. And it's a story that's only found in the Gospel of Luke. That same day, 2 of Jesus' disciples were going to the village of Emmaus, which was about 7 miles from Jerusalem. As they were talking and thinking about what had happened, Jesus came near and started walking along beside them. But they did not know who he was. Jesus asked them, "What are you talking about as you walked along?" The 2 of them stood there looking sad and gloomy. Then one named Cleopas asked Jesus, "Are you the only person from Jerusalem who didn't know what was happening there these last few days?" "What do you mean?" Jesus asked. They answered, "Those things that happened to Jesus from Nazareth. By what he did and said, he showed that he was a powerful prophet who pleased God and all the people. Then the chief priests and our leaders had him arrested and sentenced to die on a cross. We had hoped that he would be one to set Israel free. But it has already been 3 days since all this happened. Some women in our group surprised us. They had gone to the tomb early in the morning, but did not find the body of Jesus. They came back saying that they had seen a vision of angels who told them that he was alive. Some men from our group went to the tomb and found it just as the women had said, but they did not see Jesus either. Then Jesus asked the 2 disciples, "Why can't you understand? How can you be so slow to believe all that the prophets said? Didn't you know that the Messiah would have to suffer before he was given his glory?" Jesus then explained everything written about himself in the scriptures, beginning with the law of Moses and the book of the prophets. When the 2 of them came near the village where they were going, Jesus seemed to be going farther. They begged him, "Stay with us. It's already late, and the sun is going down." So Jesus went into the house to stay with them. After Jesus sat down to eat, he took some bread. He blessed it and broke it. Then he gave it to them. At once they knew who he was, but he disappeared. They said to each other, "When he talked with us all along the road and explained the scriptures to us, didn't it warm our hearts?" So they got right up and returned to Jerusalem. May God's Spirit move through the reading and hearing of his sacred words. So, a veterinarian was in his office when the phone rang, and he picked it up, and there was a man on the other end of the line who was agitated. He said, "I'm walking down this road, and I just found a suitcase lying by the side of the road. I unzipped it and looked inside, and there's 5 puppies." And the vet said, "That is horrible. That's terrible. Were they moving?" "I'm not sure," the man said, "but that would explain the suitcase." I'll just let that one sink in for a moment. This morning we have a story about someone traveling down a road, and it's 2 disciples. And as they're traveling down the road, they're in pain, they're discouraged, they're downhearted. And a man appears and walks next to them, and it's Jesus. But they don't recognize him. He doesn't look the same. And he asks them, "Why are you so upset? What's to be discouraged about? Why so much pain?" And the men say to him, "Are you the only guy from Jerusalem that doesn't know what happened? Our master Jesus, the one we followed, was crucified. He was executed." And then they say this line that is very powerful. They say, "We had hoped that he was the one." You know, whenever you start a sentence with "we had hoped," pretty much every time it's followed by pain and disillusionment and discouragement. We had hoped the tumor would not be malignant. We had hoped that our marriage would get better. We had hoped that our son would come home. We had hoped that the depression would lift. We had hoped that we wouldn't lose our job. We had hoped that we would not be affected by the virus. We had hoped that we would have carried the baby to term. Whenever a sentence starts with those 3 words, "we had hoped," there always seems to be pain that follows. And so, when the disciples explain their pain and use those 3 words, "we had hoped," you and I can understand and feel the kind of despair that they were in, because we've all been there. We've all used the words, "we had hoped." And then Jesus does something. He begins to explain to them what the scriptures mean. And basically he tells them and shows them that Jesus was on the journey he was meant to be on the entire time. And he tells them, these two disciples who are despondent, you are on the journey you're meant to be on. And then they get to Emmaus, in the house where the two disciples are going, and they see that the stranger's going to keep moving, going on. And they say, no, come with us. Stay with us. It's getting late. And so Jesus agrees, and they go into the house, and a meal is prepared. And they ask this guest, this stranger, to bless the food. And so the stranger picks up some bread, blesses it and breaks it, and at that moment, their eyes are opened, and they realize, they see, it's actually the risen Christ. And then he disappears. Poof, gone. Nowhere to be seen.